Hello, Scarlets. Welcome to your first day of distance learning here in chemistry. I'd much rather be with you guys in person, but I guess it is what it is. So we'll do the best that we can. Already making lots of mistakes. Filmed this already, uploaded to YouTube, and then realized I had muted it after only a fourth of it to yell at my 6-year-old. And so now this is round 2. Hopefully it'll be better than the first one. I'm guessing we'll all make a lot of mistakes, but we'll just have to forgive each other and move on. So to get started, I'm guessing you're really missing all those awesome chemistry jokes. So here's one for you. What should you do if no one laughs at your chemistry jokes? Keep telling them until you get a reaction. All right. Woo! I'm sure there'll be a lot more of those. I bet you can't wait. So where are we at right now? So before we got interrupted by this whole coronavirus thing, we were finishing up Unit 7. We had done molarity, we had done single replacement reactions, and we were just gonna start on double replacement reactions. So we are gonna start by this whole distance learning thing by wrapping up reactions, and then next week we'll start working on a new unit, and we're gonna be working on acids and bases. So the last little tidbit of information that we need to do is to look at double replacement reactions and solubility. So that's what we're up to today. Taking us back, double replacement reactions. If you remember, think of it like two couples dancing, and then they cut in and switch partners. There are rules though. A metal can only go with a non-metal. You can't ever put two metals together. You can't ever put two non-metals together. So here's just a couple quick examples to refresh, because your brains might be just like, chemistry, what is that? In order to do solubility and double replacement, you're gonna need to have an ions charge sheet out, and you're gonna need to go back to those naming skills of using crisscross, applesauce, in order to write those new formulas. So if you remember, the way that this works is our outside ions go together and our inside ions go together, and we write two brand new formulas. The positive one always has to go first. So if we look at our first combination, it's gonna be silver and chloride. If we look at our second combination, we're gonna put the sodium first because it's positive, and then NO3 is a polyatomic ion, and with those polyatomic ions, those subscripts are sacred and they come along with them. Then we have to look at our charges sheet because we need to know whether or not we need to add subscripts. When they're the same number but opposite, we don't have to do anything. So if you look, silver is a +1, nitrate is a -1, sodium is a +1, and chloride is a -1. Since everything has the same charges, we're not gonna have to add anything. Then we go back and we have to add coefficients if it's not balanced. But if we look, everything is balanced, so voila, we're done. What we're gonna move on to next is figuring out what we're gonna put in our little brackets down here. Is it gonna be AQ or is it gonna be solid? But we'll get to that in a second. Here's our second one. See if you can do this. Put K and NO3 together, put BA and SO4 together. Again, positive and negative, positive and negative. Notice I didn't bring the 2 over, and I didn't bring this 2 over. That's because those were subscripts that were put there in order to balance the charge in that compound. However, with your polyatomic ions, you have to include those subscripts because they are part of the formula. Again, I'm going to look at my ions sheet and figure out all my charges. So if I look, potassium and nitrate are both 1s, so I don't have to add any subscripts. And barium and sulfate are both 1s, so I don't have to add any subscripts. But now, if we go back to balance them, notice that there are 2 potassiums and 2 nitrates on the left side, so we have to add a 2 to balance it there. So double replacement reactions can either be a precipitate reaction or an acid-base reaction. Precipitate double replacement reactions happen when one of the products that's formed is a solid and the other remains aqueous. In acid-base reactions, and we'll get to this a lot more next unit, one of the ionic compounds is classified as an acid, the other a base. So when they react, you get water as one of your products and a salt. A salt, if you remember, is just a fancy way of saying an ionic compound. So anytime you put an ionic compound together, it's called a salt. So how do we know if a precipitate forms? That's what we're going to really focus on. We'll use acids and bases down the road. We're going to look at what are called solubility rules. Sometimes if you move on, you'll see a solubility chart. We're going to focus on rules. So how this works is you look at the ions in the two compounds that are formed. If one of them in the compounds is classified as insoluble, then a precipitate forms and a reaction happens and we label it as a solid. For those compounds that have only soluble ions, the state is labeled aqueous or AQ. So here's what those solubility rules look like, and you'll find these on your Google Classroom underneath your resources page. The way it works is this top part of the sheet is showing you which ions, when they are in a compound, are soluble, and so they form aqueous compounds. So anything in group 1, and group 1 includes everything on the periodic table in group 1. So like hydrogen and potassium, they're not listed there, but it includes those. And then we've got ammonium, nitrate, acetate, hydrogen carbonate, chlorate, perchlorate, halides, and sulfates. I also want to point out exceptions. That means that they are always AQ unless the other ion is one of these that is listed. So let's say, for example, that I have lead. Oops, sorry there. Let's say I have lead and I have lead iodide, okay? According to this chart, since iodide is a halide, it should be AQ. But because it's combined with lead, it meets the exception, which actually makes this a solid. So we're going to look at how we apply these next. Here's a reaction. Hydrogen chloride reacting with silver nitrate. So first thing I'm going to do is use my inside and outside ions, put those together to write two brand new formulas. So my hydrogen is going to go with my nitrate, and my silver is going to go with my chloride. So if I go ahead and write those out, I'm going to get NO3 as my first compound, and then my second compound is going to be silver chloride. So what I need to figure out that's different than what we've done before is I need to figure out how to label these. Are they going to be AQ or are they going to be S? And to do that, we're going to look at the solubility rules. So we're looking at whether AgCl or HNO3, what those states are going to be. So I'm going to first focus on HNO3. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read down my side of my chart until I run into either hydrogen or nitrate. Hydrogen is a group 1 ion, and we also have nitrate listed here. Both of those fall under soluble, which means that when they are in a compound, they're going to be AQ. And there's no exceptions for either or, so I would label my hydrogen nitrate AQ. Now let's look at silver and chloride. If we go down our chart, we find chloride right here. So it's supposed to be AQ except when it's combined with either silver, lead, or mercury, and it's combined with silver, so that means that this is going to be my solid. So this is going to be, hydrogen nitrate is going to be AQ. Silver chloride, whoops, sorry. Let me quickly erase that. Silver chloride is going to be your solid. And then we go back to see if it needs to be balanced, and it doesn't. So this reaction happens because a precipitate, that's that fancy word we use for solid, was formed. Okay, we'll run through another one here really quick. So lead is going to go with chloride, and barium is going to go with nitrate. So I'm going to write my two possibilities here. Always put the positive first. That's why Ba goes in front of nitrate. Your brain's going to want to write nitrate first. Then we're going to look at our charges to figure out if we need to crisscross or not. So I'm going to go ahead. Nitrate is a -1. Barium is a +2. Oops. Chloride is a -1. And what about lead? So if we look at lead, lead can either be a +4 or a +2. What it's going to be depends on who it's with. So if you remember, we had a little trick that we used when we learned how to name, is we looked at the charge of the anion, the -1, because these two have to have the same overall number when it comes to charge. So we've got 2 nitrates, which means the total negative is -2, and we only have 1 lead, so that means it has to be a +2. The other way we learned is do a reverse crisscross, because originally to get this subscript, that means that this ion must have had a 2 charge. So with that being said, that gives lead a +2, chloride a -1, so we need to cross them. The 1 we don't write down, and here we have lead chloride. Same with barium and nitrate. Barium is a +2, nitrate is a -1, so if we cross them, we have to put a 1 with the barium, which we don't write down. We need a 2 with the nitrate. Nitrate is a polyatomic ion. We learned with polyatomic ions, we put the polyatomic ion in brackets or parentheses, and we carry and put that charge down. And then lastly, we got to go back and balance it. And you can see that everything is balanced. But now we need to figure out what are those states. So we go and we look at our rules. So we've got PbCl2, and if we look going down, we run into chlorine right there, chloride. However, it's combined with lead, which means that this is going to be our solid. And then we have barium and nitrate. And if you look, nitrates are always soluble, which means that this has to be AQ. And so now we know what our states are. So now I'm going to go back and put an S with lead chloride, and we'll do an AQ with barium nitrate. And we already talked about how it's balanced because everything's good to go. And so this would be it. And yes, there is a reaction because we created a precipitate, which is indicated by a solid. Last one. Again, outsides go together, insides go together. Oh, you like my bird clock? It kind of makes me happy. It goes off every hour on the hour. So we'll go ahead and iron and hydroxide. And then the other combination would be sodium and sulfate. Notice we always put the positive ion first, followed by the negative. And now I'm going to go look at my ions chart, and I'm going to figure out what all my charges are to see if I need to crisscross it all to write those compounds. And here we have iron, who can be iron 2 or iron 3. In this case, it's a 1-to-1, which means that whatever the charge is of the sulfate, iron has to be the same, but it's going to be positive instead of negative. So now if we look at putting these together, we've got a +2 and a -1. So that means that we need to add a subscript 2. Hydroxide is a polyatomic ion, so you have to put it in parentheses. And here we've got +1 for sodium and -2 for sulfate. So that means that our sodium will have a 2. Last step then here before, well, let's go balance before we do anything. If you look, we've got 2 hydroxides and 2 sodiums. And I only have 1 sodium and 1 hydroxide here. So to balance this, I would have to put a 2 in front. Okay, let's go look at our rules and decide who's going to be AQ and who's going to be S. So we've got iron hydroxide, and we've got sodium sulfate. So looking down the chart, you're going to look for either iron or hydroxide. Iron's not listed, but hydroxide is down here. Hydroxide is a solid unless it's combined with group 1, calcium, barium, strontium, or ammonium. It's paired with iron. Iron is none of those exceptions. And so that means that it is going to be your solid. Now we're going to look at sodium and sulfate. Sodium is a group 1, so it's AQ. There's no exceptions. It also meets that by looking at sulfates. Sulfates is AQ unless it's paired with silver, calcium, strontium, barium, or lead, which it's not. And so using both of those, it's most definitely going to be AQ. So we're going to put an S with the iron hydroxide. We're going to put an AQ with the sodium sulfate. And remember to balance. This should be a 2. Now, once in a while, you might end up doing this and both products are AQ. If both products are AQ, that means that no reaction happened. Just like when we did single replacement. If the element by itself was not higher on the chart, no reaction happened. So that's how you know nothing happens in a double replacement. If both of your products are AQ, there's no reaction. If you do this and one of the products is water, we always label water as liquid when we're at room temperature. That means a reaction did happen. And that's specialized. That's a acid-base reaction, which we'll learn about more in our next unit. So that concludes your first lesson. Here's your task this week. Read through those. If you have any questions, I will be posting some office hours that you can drop in and talk virtually if you would like to. Otherwise, you're always welcome to email. I'll get back to you within 24 hours during the week by the following Monday on the weekend. Hope you guys are staying healthy. Hope you're staying mentally healthy. It's not very easy to keep yourself occupied. Hopefully with school, this will give you something to kind of anchor your schedule around. Make sure you get outside, get lots of sunshine, get lots of exercise, and take care of yourself. Be well, Scarlett. Miss ya.